On today's episode of the John Campea Show podcast, Lord and Miller have seen that Coyote versus Acme movie, and they say it might be the best Looney Tune movies of all time. You know, Frozen 3 is coming, but did you know they're already in development of Frozen 4? Harley Quinn Season 5 has been greenlit over at Max. Superman Legacy has cast a new member of the Authority, probably going to be the villains in that film. And also, all the major trades are now reporting that Pedro Pascal is now in discussions to sign on and be Reed Richards, Mr. Fantastic and the Fantastic Four. That and a whole bunch more. The John Campea Show podcast starts right now. Well, greetings and salutations, everybody. Welcome to the best damn movie-related show on the planet Earth, the John Campea Show podcast, coming from right here in our quaint little studio, brought to you in part by our friends at Mint Mobile. I am, of course, your host, John Campea, and it is an awesome honor and privilege, as it is every day, to have you, our international friends, gather around so we talk about our favorite things in the world, movies and movie news, TV and streaming, and all sorts of good things. Not just giving you our opinions, but also giving you some background, history, and context so you guys can form your own well-informed opinions, whether they're the same or completely different than ours. Joining me in studio today, we got Ray Ora.
Games Day.
Games Day.
Hunger Games.
Hunger Games.
Oh, that's right. Hunger Games today. That's right. We're going to go see that this afternoon after the show. Jonathan Voico's here.
So tired. Hello, all.
Chris Carr is here.
Same, bud. Same.
But most importantly, you guys are here. Thank you so much for being here and making this show part of your day. Here's how today's show is going to go. We're going to start off by going over those predetermined topics that I just listed off. Then in the last part of the show, we're going to take your live questions. So listen, we already put out a call to our beloved YouTube channel members asking them to submit some topics. We'll get through a bunch of those. But also, if you guys are watching live, you can get a topic or question on by using the super chat feature in the live chat, and we'll get to all the ones that are appropriate to be used on the show at the end of the show. All right, guys. With all that down, let's get things started with this. You know, one of the movies that's been in the news a lot lately, even though nobody was talking about it before this, was the upcoming hybrid live-action CGI Looney Tunes movie Coyote versus Acme, starring John Cena. Now, I was quite intrigued by this movie. I love the idea of a movie about Coyote. He is the most... Man, I don't know that there's an animated character that life just straight up shits on more than old Wile E. Coyote.
Truly.
All he's trying to do is eat.
He's just trying to get some tail. Huh?
Just trying to get
God
that
damn it.
Roadrunner tail. Poor dude. Poor dude. Now, nobody really talked about this movie at all until a brand new head of Warner Brothers Animation was appointed. Much like James Gunn and Peter Safran took over the new DC studio, Warner Brothers Animation Studio has a new head, and that new head decided that, you know what, we're not going to release this film. Because we have a new philosophy here that we don't do straight to max movies, and we don't believe that this movie is going to make money. At least they didn't believe that it would make back the money that it would cost them to mount a theatrical release and a very expensive theatrical campaign. Well, that got a lot of people talking about it. And apparently Warner Brothers has now gone, you know what, there's another way we can make money on this. Let's sell it to another distributor to have the distribution rights, whether it's an Amazon or an Apple TV Plus or something. No announcement has been made about whether that'll happen, but that apparently is what they're going on by. Well, according to a number of people in the industry, the movie's actually quite good. And this comes to us from Deadline that said this: we're hearing that a screening which took place Tuesday afternoon drew a huge applause at the end and had wall-to-wall laughs with the likes of the Nun 2 director Michael Chaves in attendance, along with Oscar-winning Everything Everywhere All at Once filmmaker Daniel Scheinert. I always just call them the Daniels because I don't like to pronounce his last name. In addition to the Pix cast of Will Forte, Lana Condor, and PJ Byrne, and Coyote vs. Acme director David Green. Said Lego Movie co-director and Spider-Verse producer Christopher Miller of Lord Miller, I saw Coyote vs. Acme and it's delightful. Funny, charming, good physical comedy timing with a surprise amount of heart. I hope several studios go after it so the world can see the good work these people did. Now, his partner, Lord, said the following: Coyote vs. Acme is wonderful. They absolutely nail it. Hilarious, smart, existential, and moving, and makes this all-time character even more relevant than ever. So A lot of people jump in to the defense of this movie saying it's actually really quite good. And of course, we all know that a movie being quite good often doesn't necessarily translate to making money at the box office. That being said, they're saying it's quite good. And maybe these types of reports will light a fire under places like Amazon or Apple TV Plus, or maybe even Paramount, to say, you know what, we'll give you however many millions of dollars to let us be the streaming home of this movie. Maybe they will, maybe they won't. We'll have to wait and see. Chris, it's always good hearing good reactions to a movie. We heard it was good. We're now hearing from filmmakers we know saying it's good. What do you think about what we're hearing?
It makes me really excited about it. I hope a studio does pick this up because it's such a fun story. It's based on a New Yorker article from 1990 about Wile E. Coyote seeking damages against Acme, which I think that's a great premise in itself. That's so fun. And I know we've talked on this show about John Cena is becoming a much better actor over time, right?
Particularly in comedy. He's really found his groove in comedy.
He's great at it. He can find those nice heartstring moments too, though, as we've seen with his work on HBO, right? His work with DC. I'm really excited, and I hope I get the chance to see this because I love physical comedy. I love animation. And I gotta say, I'm sure there's a lot of people at Warner Brothers who are much smarter than me, who understand money much better than I do. But I don't think they always make the right choices when it comes to animation, particularly with how they're quick to kind of just jettison their animated projects. And I think that I know they need to find ways to cut cost, recoup money. This was something they planned to put on streaming, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
And that obviously isn't going to bring in money unless you're going to subscribe just to watch Wile E. Coyote, which I'm not sure there's a huge audience for that. But I think that they sometimes make the wrong choices in putting things straight to streaming and how they treat their animated products, especially their legacy animated products. So I'm excited for somebody else to hopefully scoop this up because I really want a chance to see it. I think it sounds so fun.
I mean, here's the thing. I know everybody, I'm always the one saying the unpopular opinion because it's often lonely being right. But again, it's one thing. At the end of the day, it is a business. And if they think we're going to lose money if we put up a $30-40 million ad campaign, which is what at minimum you need for a major motion picture like this, and we don't simply believe we'll make that kind of money, I get it. It's also going to be very interesting to see what happens if nobody wants it. Like we're all getting excited, including me, because I do want to see this. Getting excited about the idea that maybe it'll pop up on Apple TV Plus and Amazon. But what happens if all of them look at it and say, no, thanks. Like it's not worth 20 million to us because we're not going to make any money off of it. I mean, what happens if that happens? Does Max at that point then go, well, you know what? F it. We'll just put it up on Max anyway, although that seems to be against their current philosophy. Yeah. So what do you think Max does? Do you think they just go, what the hell everybody's been talking about? Well, let's just put it on Max. I don't think they're going to do the theatrical release, but what do you think happens if like nobody else wants to pick it up?
My biggest concern is that if no one picks it up, this is viewed as a failed experiment and things don't get shopped around as easily when somebody passes on something that's been pre-made.
Right.
I think putting it on the streaming service and just having it there and doing something as cheap as possible with your marketing is better than not doing anything with it. But then again, I don't know how much it costs to have that, loaded up and on your streaming services and taking up space within your data stream. I don't know how much cost it's going to be for it to be on their servers ultimately.
Right.
And those are things too that you got to weigh out now. So as much as I want this, I think if no one buys it, I think Warner Brothers will probably stick to their guns. And that does make me sad just because, tons of movies don't get seen. Tons of things don't see the light of day.
Yeah. Like how many films go, like we all hear about the Cannes Film Festival, all these big Telluride, all these kind of things. The vast majority of movies, they go to these festivals with the hope that somebody will pick it up and it'll get shown. But like 90% of them never get seen by anybody.
Exactly. And it is always heartbreaking, but it's part of this industry too. So just for my fellow entertainment friends, I really want their product to be seen.
Well, I now really want to see it, hearing how many people...
It's such a smart sounding movie, though, too, because how many times have you had to go see something that is very much geared towards children, and gone, gosh, I just want to blow my brains out right now. This is so, but I'm not stimulated. I don't understand this. It's like watching Coco Melon with a child, and you're like, why am I here? But every now and then you have something like a Lego movie like this where it's just,
Yeah.
oh, this is just a genre or this is just a medium. This isn't geared towards it or it's just children, right? And I think that's what they're doing here. And that's what Looney Tunes has always done is it's always challenged its audiences where sure, your 5-year-old can laugh at it, but you're going to get so much more other nuance and fun stuff. And I think that kind of stuff deserves screen time.
If for no other reason, I would love for this to be a success because it would get us one step closer to what I really want from them,
Ooh.
which is a Pinky in the Brain movie. That's what I want.
Dude, freaking love Pinky in the Brain so
For,
much.
Here's a little tip for like the younger audience that doesn't know what Coyote versus Acme is. Just think of Acme as like Temu or Ali or like AliExpress
Their Wish.
or Wish, and then you can figure out what. Like it should be Coyote versus Temu, the new Acme, right?
I think that's a good analogy. All right, guys. With that down, let's move on to this, shall we? You know, I don't know if you've heard of it, but there's these little movies called Frozen, and from what I gather, they've done quite well. Well,
I've literally never seen one.
They announced a little while ago that Bob Iger said, we are going to be doing a Frozen 3. It's like, okay, great. They're going to go into production Frozen 3. Well, now, not to be deterred or not being afraid to top himself, Bob Iger's now come out and said, yeah, we're going to do Frozen 4. This comes to us from Deadline, who write the following. They said this, Disney CEO Bob Iger confirmed that Frozen 4 is in the works, with the new installment joining the previously confirmed Frozen 3. Iger made the announcement today on Good Morning America from Hong Kong Disneyland. Frozen 3 is in the works, Iger said in an interview, and there might be a Frozen 4 in the works too. But I don't have much to say about those films right now. But Jen Lee, who created Frozen, the original Frozen and Frozen 2, is hard at work with her team at Disney Animation on not one, but actually 2 stories. All right. Now, normally you'd be forgiven for saying something like along the lines of, well, wait a minute, don't you want to see how Frozen 3 does and all that kind of stuff before you get rolling on a Frozen 4? Well, maybe under some circumstances, yes, but this is Frozen, and Frozen has done stuff like this. The first Frozen movie had a 90% critic score and made $1.3 billion at the box. These are 2 of the highest grossing animated films of all time. Frozen 2, a 77% critic score. I really actually quite like Frozen 2. Anyway, and it topped it at $1.4 billion at the box office amongst the top animated films of all time. Like the success of these things is crazy. And to this day, or at least the last time I went to Disneyland, because fuck you, Disneyland. Anyway, the last time I went to Disneyland and still goes, I'll never darken their door again, and still goes, but right up until like 2 years ago, whenever I go, I would lose count of how many little girls are dressed up as Elsa and Pygmy Face. Whatever. What's the other one?
Anna?
Anna, thank you. Anna and Elsa. Like little girls running around as Anna and Elsa all over the place. Like this thing is massive. Let It Go is still part of our pop culture phenomenon. And you know what? I think their main marquee song in the second film is almost just as good. That Into the Unknown song. It's a real, every once in a while when you watch like either these X Factor, America's Got Talent, The Voice, whatever, every once in a while somebody will try singing Into the Unknown, and it always gives me shivers. Anyway, so you want to know why they're announcing a Frozen 4 before they even come out with Frozen 3?
Is it money?
It's money.
I knew it.
Money's money is all that money. 1.3 and 1.4 billion dollars respectively. Yeah, even if it does half as good as that. Let's say Frozen 3 takes a 50% drop. 50% drop from the last one.
700 million.
It's still making over $700 million at the box office. That's why they're doing Frozen 3 and Frozen 4. Anyway, Chris, you heard about this announcement? When I first saw the headline, I was like, yeah, we've known for ages they're doing another Frozen. Oh, wait, this is Frozen 4.
Same.
What do you think about this? And is it the right move to already be developing the 4th one?
It's a cash cow for them, and it's Disney. They mine and mine and mine. You know, there is a Frozen podcast. There is a Frozen ride at Epcot where the average wait time still is about 75 minutes.
Dear
People
heavens.
are obsessed with these movies, and not just people, small children.
It's like box office fracking.
It is. It really is. Children are feral for this franchise.
Yeah.
They go nuts for it. And so it makes sense for Disney to continue doing this. Plus, for your adult Disneyers, too, there's all these theories around Frozen, too, of how it ties into Tarzan or how it ties into The Little Mermaid or how, oh my gosh, you can see Rapunzel walking right there. Could go to this thing. So a lot of people just enjoy those kind of little Easter eggs in these movies, too. And I'm sure Disney's going to keep doing all of that stuff. It makes so much gosh dang money. It'd be stupid to not continue trying to figure out what else to do here.
He's like, I'm going to be able to afford a shave.
I'm able to have a shave and two more
be able to
yachts.
afford a shave.
I really hope he can do that. They don't keep razors on the yacht.
No, well, see,
That'd
he's
be
so
dangerous.
wealthy, they actually shave him with like these leaves. It just takes very
Oh,
meticulous and it takes a long
wow.
time, so it costs a lot of money.
The 1% is living really well.
Oh, yeah.
I
Not
love
a lot of
that.
people know Bob Iger actually has Oompa Loompas. I mean, he actually has Oompa Loompas
It's terrifying.
running around the Disney fortress over there. All right. With that down, let's move on to this, shall we? Harley Quinn has now officially been greenlit for a season 5. Season 5 for Harley Quinn has officially been greenlit. This comes to us from the folks over at Variety who write the following. They say, more Harlivy is on the way. By the way, best romance in all of comic book stories right now. Max's renewed raunchy, violent animated series Harley Quinn for season 5, just a couple of months after season 4 finished its run. The animated DC show starring Kaylee Kuko as Harley Quinn and Lake Bell as Poison Ivy. I love Lake Bell, by the way. Has proven to be a hit for Max, and it even has its own spinoff coming, Kite Man, hell yeah, coming in 2024, which I would be lying. I'm both ashamed and proud to tell you I'm looking forward to watching that. Harley Quinn has raised the comedic crowbar. I love that phrasing. With every new season. We're excited to continue this partnership with Max and take our biggest swing yet for season 5, said Peter Girardi, Executive Vice President of Alternative Programming at Warner Brothers Animation, in a statement. All right. So, and I should kind of point out the last part of this thing. The last season ended with Poison Ivy and Harley fixing their relationship and teamed up with Batgirl and Catwoman to form the Gotham City Sirens in the finale. So that's where they're going to be going into the next season. Now, look, this is one of these great shows. For those of you who haven't heard me talk about this before, I remember being at Comic-Con and hearing the announcements that there's going to be this Harley Quinn animated show. And I remember seeing the billboards and the posters, and then they put out the first teaser trailer or two, and I thought, this looks so stupid. This looks so bad. How is this even being released? And then the show came out, and I avoided it, didn't care for it. And all of a sudden, a bunch of our viewers started writing, saying, John, I think you might really like Harley Quinn. I'm like, you don't know what you're talking about. But then more people and more people and more people. So finally, one night, Ann and I got home early from this function, and we're like, we got some time to kill. I'm like, honey, do you want to watch this Harley Quinn? Everybody keeps telling me it's really good. I doubt it, but do you want to watch it with me? She was like, sure. Within 5 minutes, I was hooked. Absolutely hooked. I mean, I can't remember if it's in episode 1 or episode 2 where Harley is making up with the Joker when her and Poison Ivy went there so Harley could end things with him definitively, and she just gets swept right back to him. She starts making out with him, and she turns to Ivy and says, you might want to leave. Things are about to get real gross. And I remember this show is so special. This show is so special. And it's just, now I'm going to say, I think season 4 is my least favorite of the seasons. I still enjoyed it. I still liked it. It's still quite good, but I thought it was my least favorite. It'd be neat to see where they're going for season 5. I'm happy that we're getting a 5th season. Anyway, Chris, what do you think about the announcement? Like, I never would have dreamed this show was going to get 5 seasons.
Yeah.
But here we are, 5th season coming. What's your take?
This is one where I am grossly misinformed. I've seen 2 episodes of Harley Quinn.
Really?
Yeah, it's a show.
I thought you just haven't seen the new season.
No.
Oh, okay.
I haven't seen anything. And over the holiday season, I need to sit down and binge everything because I know this is a show I love. I know it so much. I see clips of it all the time. People send me stuff from it. I know I'm going to be obsessed with it. I just haven't watched it because there's so much freaking television out there. But I'm really happy about it, especially because I love this cast. Kaylee Cuoco's wonderful. Alan Tudyk, come on.
Alan Tudyk kills it in this
He's
show.
wonderful at everything he does. Oh my gosh. So I'm excited to binge. Oh, and Constantine shows up. Okay. Hi. Wonderful. Yeah, let's go.
All right. Guys, with that down, we still got to talk about they've now cast one of the villains for Superman Legacy. Also, speaking of casting, it looks like we've got our Reed Richards. If everything works out, the studios and all the outlets are reporting that Marvel is now in negotiations to tie up a contract with Pedro Pascal to be Reed Richards. But before we get to that, we're going to take a quick second and thank a couple of sponsors of today's episode of the John Campea Show podcast, our friends at Quip and HelloFresh. Guys, we want to take a second to thank a sponsor of this video, Quip. Guys, you know that good health starts with good habits, and Quip makes it easy by delivering all the oral care essentials that you need to care for your mouth. For example, their incredible electric toothbrush. Guys, I've been using electric toothbrushes for years, and this is easily the best one I've ever owned. Timed sonic vibrations with 30-second pulses to guide a dentist-recommended 2-minute clean. A lightweight and sleek design for adults and kids with no wires or bulky charger to weigh you down. Reusable handles in a range of sleek metal hues as well as bright plastic colors sure to make a pop on your bathroom counter. Skip the batteries and snap into healthy habits with the new rechargeable electric toothbrush. All the features of the original Quip plus one magnetic charge powers up to 3 months of brushing. In addition to brush heads, Quip also delivers fresh floss, toothpaste, mouthwash, and gum refills every 3 months from just $7. So if you go to getquip.com/Campea right now, you'll get 20% off any electric toothbrush, mint and gum dispenser, or water flosser. That's your 20% off any electric toothbrush, mint and gum dispenser, water flosser at getquip.com/Campea. That's GETQUIP.com/Campea. Quip, the good habits company. Guys, we want to take a second to thank a sponsor of this video, HelloFresh. With HelloFresh, you get farm-fresh, pre-portioned ingredients and seasonal recipes delivered right to your doorstep. Skip trips to the grocery store and count on HelloFresh to make home cooking easy, fun, and affordable. And that's why it's America's #1 meal kit. Guys, the holidays are right around the corner, and HelloFresh can help take the stress out of dinner by delivering everything you need to cook up tasty meals right to your door, saving you tons of time. We all know the holidays can be hectic, and that's where HelloFresh's 15-minute meals come in. These quick fixes help you get a wholesome meal on the table in less time than it takes to get delivery. I've told you guys many times before that Ann and I, being working professionals, often would struggle when it comes to dinner time, having time to put something that tastes good and is healthy for us in front of us. Well, HelloFresh, with their great delivery, pre-portioned ingredients, easy to follow instructions, has made dinner time a fun time. So go to HelloFresh.com/Campea free and use the code Campea free for breakfast for life. One breakfast item per box while subscription is active. That's free breakfast for life at HelloFresh.com/Campea free with the code Campea free. And thank you to our friends at Quip and HelloFresh for sponsoring this episode of the John Campea Show podcast. All right, guys, with that down, let's move on to this. The most important thing ever to happen in the world of DC on film comes in 2025 with Superman Legacy. Johnny saying that movie's more important than Christopher Nolan's Batman. No, understand what I'm saying. This is their recreation of their DC universe. The DC films have lost the audience completely. They haven't put out their last 7 films. Not one has made $400 million at the box office. Even one with Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. So they're going back to the drawing board. They're starting again, and it comes out with Superman Legacy. I don't think it has ever been more important for DC to have a movie be really good and work. Now, we've been hearing a lot of stuff over the last number of months about casting. Nathan Fillion's going to be in it as a Green Lantern. I think it's Guy Gardner. He's going to be in that one. We got Hawk Girl. We got Mr. Terrific. We got like a whole bunch of characters coming. But now for the first time, according to reports, we've now got one of our villains, a member of the Authority, the Engineer, has now been cast. This comes to us from Deadline, who writes the following. Maria Gabriela de Faria, I'm hoping I'm pronouncing that right. The Venezuelan actress, best known for roles in Fox comedies Animal Control and The Moodies, has landed a breakout part on the film side, joining the cast of James Gunn's Superman Legacy. Her character is Angela Spica. Again, I've only ever read the name. I've never heard it said. I hope I'm saying it right. AKA the Engineer, part of the Warner/DC Flicks villain team. Angie's powers stem from nanotechnology built into her body. Created by Warren Ellis and Brian Hitch, she's the second DC character to bear the name The Engineer and was first introduced in The Authority, which we already know is going to play a big role in James Gunn's DC, volume number 1 in 1999. All right, so The Engineer, a member of the Authority, she has this, basically she's replaced her blood with nanobots. She has this metal exoskeleton. She has a whole bunch of powers connected to it. She is extremely powerful. Again, the second iteration of the Engineer. She has been a anti-hero as a member of the Authority. She's also been used in DC as a straight up villain. At one point wanting to exterminate humanity off the face of the earth to rebuild a better world. Now, the Authority is kind of like the forerunner of what was the name of Superman's government in
On Krypton?
No, what's the video game? Injustice. So Injustice Gods Among Us, Superman calls his kind of government something. I can't remember the name of it, but it was kind of the future. Like they believe, hey,
One Earth regime?
The regime is what they call them. The regime. So basically the Authority is kind of like the philosophy of Peacemaker. I love peace above all things, and I don't care how many men, women, and children I have to kill to get it. Right? That was kind of their philosophy. They believe in the ends justify the means, whatever we got to do. And that, of course, does not fit well with Superman's philosophy of the world. So they're probably going to end up being the antagonists, and the Engineer may be one of the key ones of them. I think it's really interesting. Here's the main reason why I think this is really interesting, is that it suggests to me that they're not going to come out of the gate with Superman with one of your marquee Superman villains, right? There's only so many high profile ones that you have, and they've been done many times, all of them, basically. Even Brainiac. Remember that show, that short-lived show, Krypton? Mm-hmm. There was actually, by the way, that show wasn't bad. Good. It was pretty good. But you had, Brainiac was kind of the central core villain of that. And we've had a lot of Lex Luthor. And do you come out of the gate with a Doomsday? I like the idea that they are going to be introducing probably characters to the vast majority of the movie-going audience who have probably they've never heard of or seen before, and getting them introduced this way in his first film. Now, look, this is just the first of what will probably be many of these sorts of casting announcements, but I like what I'm seeing, and I like this direction they're going in. Chris, what did you think about this?
I love this. I don't know much about this actress, but I know quite a bit about the Authority, and I love the use of the Engineer. Superman, historically, one of the problems that happens, particularly in film, is that Superman is so overpowered.
Yes.
He has so many powers. He's so strong. The Engineer is constantly overpowered.
Yeah.
All that nanotech stuff makes her able to shapeshift, create matter. Sometimes she has telepathy. She can fly. There's so many things that it's just, and she has that power too now.
Right.
There it is. So one, I think that's great because you've got people who can go toe-to-toe against each other. I think this is also a really smart move. And when James Gunn first said he was doing The Authority, I went, oh, that's really interesting. Relatively new to the comic scene, because in terms of the length of DC's work.
Yeah, they've only been around for like the last 25 years or so.
99 is very fresh. I think it's really interesting to have Superman Legacy feature The Authority. Because they came about, too, in comics at a time where the gritty anti-hero was a big thing. And what's one of the criticisms that we hear a lot of times with DC films was these gritty, dark things for a while. It was this, it was that. It didn't know what it wanted to be sometimes, at least when it came to the cinematic universe. I think it's a really cool meta thing to have Superman face off against the gritty, dark, no pastels here, no bright colors here, heroes, as this kind of the old DCU is dead, and we're figuring out who we are and what our identity is. And that also allows you the opportunity to have Superman figure out who his identity is as well. I think that's a really cool through line with a lot of Superman stories, too, of you have this power. How do you protect? How do you lead? And when do you step back? And a group like the Authority has the authority to rule over mankind, to make sure they stay in line for their good. And they'll do it at any cost. Superman has always tried to do things on behalf of people, of humanity, but with their humanity in mind, and has never seen himself as a god, even though he could be one. So I think that juxtaposition could be really, really interesting here.
I wonder if it was all the authority stuff and engineer, because remember the other day Jacob Elordi mentioned that he turned down auditioning for Superman because it was just too dark for him. So I wonder if that might have something to do with it.
Could be.
If some of this sounds familiar too, this is thematically very similar to what you got in one of the most famous graphic novel stories of all time, Kingdom Come.
Yep.
Where you basically had Superman and the old school heroes that were like, these new heroes are not doing it right, and it causes problems. And there's some really interesting thematic stuff they're going to be able to do with this. So again, I'm not very familiar with this actress. I caught a glimpse of her in that the Russo brothers did that very short-lived, I think it got canceled after one season, sci-fi series Deadly Class. I know she was in that. I'm not really familiar with her work. She does have a resume. I mean, she's got a lot of acting experience, but I'm just not very familiar with her. So it's going to be interesting to see how this character turns out. All right. With that down, guys, let's move on to this, shall we? Fantastic Four is coming, and amongst the biggest conversations over the past 2.5 years, 3 years, ever since they made the announcements that Marvel was going to do Fantastic Four, is who's going to be in the Fantastic Four. It's been like, who's the next Batman and who's the next James Bond? It's been, who's going to be Reed Richards? Who's going to be Sue Storm? And that is the topic of today's Mint Mobile hotline question of the day. Listen, guys, if you got a topic or a question for the show and you'd like to hear your voice on our show, go ahead and call our hotline number anytime 24/7 at 951-268-4259, and maybe you'll hear your voice on our show. And today is specifically about that casting of Reed Richards. Check it out.
Hello, John and crew. This is Chris from Palmdale, California. So Deadline just recently reported that Marvel is apparently eyeing or is in talks with Pedro Pascal to play Reed Richards in the upcoming Fantastic Four movie. Now, as amazing as an actor as he is, well, I'd love to hear you guys' thoughts on him possibly playing the part of Reed Richards in the upcoming Fantastic Four movie. Thanks. Bring on the filthy.
All right, Chris, thanks a lot for calling that in, man. And listen, there have been a lot of names been thrown around. For a little while was all the rumor, all the buzzing was that dude from You, whatever his name was. And he looked good. He looked good. He's a good actor. That's fine. I can't remember his name off the top of my head.
Actually.
Then you had the old Adam Driver was a name that was being thrown around a lot. Now, yesterday, we started seeing some internet rumblings that they might be looking at Pedro Pascal. 9 times out of 10 that these internet rumblings happen, nothing comes of it. And that's why I always say, whenever I see these rumblings, I keep my eye on the major trades, because if it's true and real, it's going to pop up there. Well, now all of them, Hollywood Reporter, Variety, Deadline, The Wrap, everyone has reported that they've also confirmed with their sources, with our forces,
with our
military arm of Variety, have confirmed with their sources that this is indeed true. Pedro Pascal is now, they're in the final stages. They're now negotiating terms of a contract and trying to work out to see if they can make the scheduling work, because Pedro Pascal's a busy guy, but it looks like Pedro Pascal is going to be our Reed Richards. This comes to us from Variety, who writes this: Marvel Studios' Fantastic Four, which will bring one of the most well-known superhero teams in all of comics into the Marvel Cinematic Universe, is zeroing in on one of its main leads. Pedro Pascal is currently being eyed to play Reed Richards, a.k.a. Mr. Fantastic, a brilliant scientist who gains the ability to bend and stretch his body like rubber following exposure to gamma rays during a scientific expedition to outer space. The role would continue Pascal's hot streak of iconic characters. His career first took off with his memorable turn as Prince Oberyn Martell on the Game of Thrones, and he hit new heights when he was cast in the titular bounty hunter in The Mandalorian, the first Star Wars TV and inaugural series on Disney+. The 48-year-old actor was recently nominated for an Emmy for his performance on the ongoing HBO series The Last of Us. All right. I have liked many names that we have seen thrown around as a potential Reed Richards. I very much like the John Krasinski name. I got on board with the dude from You, again, whose names I do not remember.
Penn Badgley.
What's that?
Penn Badgley.
Ben Badgley. Thank you.
Pen with a P, like a pen.
Penn.
Yeah.
That's right. Adam Driver. I actually quite like the Adam Driver name. I've liked a lot of them, and any one of those guys, including 7 or 8 others that have been rumored to be front runners, I've liked almost all of them. It's like, yep, that one would work, and yep, that guy would work, and yep, that guy would work. One name that never came to my mind was Pedro Pascal, and I love it. I absolutely love it for 2 very important reasons. Reason number 1, he's one of the best in the world right now. He is a world-class actor. He's been nominated for the top acting prize there is in television, Emmy Best Lead Actor in a Drama for The Last of Us. He was so fucking good in that show. Mm-hmm. He's so good in that show. He's so good in everything. And his Saturday Night Live episode is still talked about all the time. Like, everybody still talks about that episode that he did. He's just absolutely phenomenal. Okay, so he's a great actor. That's always my number one thing. Whenever you're talking about casting any kind of role, my first question is, I don't give 2 shits about what height he is. I couldn't give, any sort of care about, is his eye color the right color? I don't give a shit about any of that nonsense that makes 0 difference. How good of an actor are you looking at? Is the actor and the performer you're looking at a world-class or a really, really solid performer? And that question is answered with yes, with Pedro Pascal. The second thing I really love about it, and this image that Jonathan has up is very appropriate right now, and not everybody's going to agree, and that's fine. I want a man playing Reed Richards, not a boy. Like, I was all for the Miles Teller Fantastic Four that they were doing. You had fantastic performers in there, but much like the Muppet Babies, I didn't really want the Fantastic Four babies. Like, the Fantastic Four are supposed to be grown-ups, right? Reed Richards should have been around long enough to become the smartest man in the world, right? Not some 28-year-old. Like, that's fine. You can tell good stories of that, but get a real grown-ass man playing the role. That's one of the reasons why I also would have been really good with John Krasinski playing it, stuff like that. I really love that you're going for somebody outside of their 30s. I think that's great, and I think that's key. And I'm super excited about that. There are so many things. Now, I've already seen it online. Since when is Reed Richards Hispanic? Or,
he's Chilean.
But
not Reed Richards.
You've seen
yeah.
those things, right?
Yeah. Seen him right here.
It's funny because I remember that same crybaby approach when they first announced him as Joel. Everybody who said it is scurried off to their little mouse holes in the wall now. But let's go back in time a little bit to when they first announced that Pedro Pascal was going to be Joel. The number of YouTube videos coming out and crying and screaming, and it's like, this is ridiculous. They've lost before they've even started. This show's going to be a disaster. All this kind of stuff. What do? They made one of the greatest television shows of all time. He killed it. Nominated for the top acting prize in the world. Listen, he's a great actor. He's going to come in. He's going to embody this character. He's going to make it his own, and he's going to make it something powerful, like he has done every single fucking time he's come on screen. That's what he does. And I cannot wait. To see him in this role. Now, there is still one hitch to this. Hollywood Reporter saying the main obstacle they're still going to overcome, apparently all the contract details apparently are going to be easy. The one thing they said that might become a little bit of a hurdle is scheduling. Because Pedro Pascal has got a lot on his plate that he's already committed to. So are they going to be able to make this work in and fit with his schedule? They say it looks good, but that might be the one hitch. So if this actually ends up coming to fruition, yeah, I cannot wait, because one of the things that this tells me is that they're taking this extremely, if you're going out and getting Pedro Pascal, you're taking this extremely seriously. And I love hearing that for this movie. And then it really makes me excited to see who the other casting is going to be. And now that the freaking strike is over, I believe we're going to start getting a lot of cast announcements fairly quickly, because this movie should be going into production sometime in the next 6 months, which means, the director already let it slip that the casting's been done. We just don't know what it is. And I'm excited to find out what it's going to be, especially if you're coming out of the gate with Pedro Pascal. Chris, you heard about this. What do you think?
I think it's wonderful. What an incredible actor. Huge body of work behind him. Even before we all saw him on Game of Thrones, he has been a working actor for ages, properly trained from the Tisch School over at NYU, has a Shakespearean background as well. He can do anything. And while a whole bunch of people are saying, I don't see him in this role, well, he hasn't done a role like this yet. So give him the opportunity. He doesn't look like Reed Richards. Okay, well, no one looks like an Elastic Man with that hair typically.
And by the way, there have been about 30 different looks of Reed Richards in the comics. So when you say, what is, you know what it reminds me of? I remember when Superman Returns was coming out and they went to Comic-Con, they were promoting the at the time, upcoming Superman Returns. And one of the fans asked the director, said, you know, just curious why you changed the costume. To which the director said something really smart. He said, there have been, I think he said, 27 variations of the Superman costume in comics. So when you say change the costume, change it from what? Because there have been 27 different versions of it. So that's how I kind of see that.
The constant has been he's typically had white in his hair.
Yeah, as long as he's got a little bit of gray,
so
white and gray in the sides, we're good.
Just have that look. I think this is a really, really smart move, though. I think he'd do a great job. I know some people in the chat, too, were saying, I could have seen him as Doom, maybe not Reed. What I love about this, though, is that Pedro is somebody who could play both parts. And if you follow these comics, Reed breaks bad. Reed takes some
Reed has turned very bad at times.
He can take some really horrific turns. Much like how we talked about the Authority thinking that they had the authority to rule over people and control and keep the peace in a very specific way. Reed's intellect gets in the way a lot of, I know how to fix this. I'm just going to have to break a few eggs along the way. And so I think if they go through that kind of route too, you've got an actor who can handle that, who can do the heavy stuff, but also have that first family of comics kind of mentality too. We can see him being this kind of bumbling, awkward guy who really just wants to be with Sue, or maybe he already is with Sue, right? We can see him as that scientist, but we can also see him as the guy who becomes a driving force with the Illuminati. He can contain multitudes, and you need an actor who needs that, who can do that as well. And Pedro Pascal is one of those actors.
Here's a point. Like, for me, the Fantastic Four, ever since the movie was announced, I don't really care. They're just not something I'm excited for. To get an actor like Pedro Pascal, he's like one of those guys that I just like seeing on screen no matter what he's playing.
Right.
Like Patrick Wilson. If he's playing anything, I like seeing him on screen. It'll put my butt in the seat.
P. Willie?
So
P. Willie? You know, good old P. Willie?
My first choice was Matt Smith, but, you know.
Matt Smith would have been great.
If Pedro is it, fine, let's do it. Let's do it then. If that's it.
So, by the way, I hesitate to share this, but I'm going to share this.
Ooh.
Okay. And it's not going to surprise many of you. It's not going to surprise many of you. But I was on one of our episodes a couple months ago. I said, you know, when they do cast Doom, I think it's going to be somebody who's the same age as whoever they cast as Reed Richards, because traditionally their history is supposed to be they came up together, they developed a rivalry, blah, blah, blah. Well, I got contacted by someone that said, you know, you may not be particularly correct about that, Campea. Like, really? What they confirmed to me is that they have talked to Mads Mikkelsen as Doom. Now, to be clear, I'm sure they talked to a dozen people. Mm-hmm. They did not tell me Mads Mikkelsen has been cast as Doom. Not at all. But they just were able to confirm to me Mads Mikkelsen is one of the people they talked to for Doom. So I said that's not going to surprise many of you because a lot of people speculated Mads Mikkelsen is Doom. So I can just tell you that I got contacted to be told I was wrong, that they're not exclusively looking for somebody who's going to be the exact same age.
It can be lonely being wrong.
Right? It happens. It happens. As that, but man, I know it's a total typecast though, and there are many actors who would be great playing Doom, but man, I could so easily see Mads Mikkelsen playing Doom.
Incredible. That's a lot of Papa in one movie. If it's Pedro and Mads, there's going to be a lot of people who are like, I'm very confused about who I want to win, but I'm not mad about it.
Only you, Chris.
Maybe
Only
P.
me?
Willie. Maybe P. Willie will be Johnny Storm.
Yeah. Oh.
P.
there
Willie.
you go.
P. Willie.
Oh wait, he'll be older, right?
P. Willie bringing the storm.
I can tell you
They'll
something
DH
else.
him.
P.
Isn't
Willie,
he-
baby.
Aren't they looking at Joseph Quinn for him?
I've heard that.
Yeah.
But here's the other thing that I
Young
got
P.
told.
Willie.
That one of the final two is Zac Efron. No, I'm kidding about that. That one's a lie. I just
So
totally
was
made
like,
that one up.
I feel like that ship sailed.
I just totally made that one up. That one was a total lie. Anyway, again, I love this because like the Fantastic Four being the original, the first family of comics, they should be like the statesmen of the superhero world. Like they should be the parents of the superhero world. They should be the mom and dad of the superhero world.
They need to have that family aspect of it like really work, because from all the movies I've never felt the closeness. Like it's felt so fabricated or like
Yeah.
not real.
Yeah.
That's something that would bring me into being interested in this these characters, but they've never really done that for me. Like they're supposed to be the first family of Marvel, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I've never, from the movies that we've seen, I've never had that bond like I feel with my family or things like that. They've never shown that.
Well,
Like-
one of the
like-
problems was like with the last one, the Miles Teller one, it was a pure origin story. So like these characters were literally just meeting each other. I really hope that they take the approach that this is not an origin story, that this is a family who has been, now that'll raise the question of where have they been for the entire existence of the MCU? Well, where have the mutants been? I mean, I don't know. They'll have to answer that question, but I'm with you, Ray, on that. I would love to see that they come into this world already being a family, having been a family for a long time, having been doing what they were doing, maybe behind the scenes a little bit, and have those family bonds.
Question is Ben. I don't know much, but is Ben Grimm the uncle? Is he the uncle?
No, he just reads like best friend,
Oh,
like kind
okay,
of protector
okay.
dude.
Like-
I could
okay.
see them de-aging Hank Pym again and doing a flashback, and these guys were back in the 60s or 70s, got zapped somewhere, and that's where
Yeah.
they've been.
That's what
Yeah,
Rob and I
they've been in
talked
the
about.
quantum
was we
realm,
would love
maybe.
that of them being trapped somewhere and then
Somebody in the live
A
chat,
rat will hit a button and they'll be back.
yeah.
somebody in the live chat mentioned Brock Lesnar as Ben Grimm.
Well,
As long as he doesn't have to talk too much.
Yeah,
I
he can
can't-
show up.
Yeah, I can't wait to see the Human Torch stuff that they do. I've always got a kick out of that, like just zooming through up in the sky. You know what I mean? It's up in the sky, baby.
Up in the sky.
You see me
Let's
up in the
go
sky.
up.
There's
Yeah.
the t-shirt. All right, guys. With that down, we're going to go over and start taking your comments and questions about what you think about all this stuff. But before we do, we're going to take another quick moment here and thank another sponsor of today's episode of the John Campea Show podcast. They're my mobile service provider, and they should be yours. The good folks at Mint Mobile. Guys, we want to take a second to thank a sponsor of today's video, Mint Mobile. Signing your life away to a big wireless provider is kind of like being trapped on a roller coaster from hell. Sure, it looks like fun at first. They probably even threw in a free phone, but now you can't get off. Month after month of insane bills and unexpected thrills, like overages and surprise fees. If that sounds like your current big wireless plan, it's time to get off the ride with Mint Mobile. For a limited time, wireless plans from Mint Mobile are just $15 a month. That's unlimited talk, text, and data for just $15 a month. You guys know before I came to Mint Mobile, I was paying triple what I am paying now on the standard big wireless plan, and I will never go back. All plans come with unlimited talk, text, and high-speed data delivered on the nation's largest 5G network. Use your own phone with any Mint Mobile plan and bring your phone number along with all your existing contacts. To get your new unlimited wireless plan for just $15 a month and get the plan shipped right to your door for free, go to mintmobile.com/Campea. That's mintmobile.com/Campea. Cut your wireless bill to just $15 a month at mintmobile.com/Campea. And thank you to our friends at Mint Mobile for sponsoring this episode of the John Campea Show podcast and giving us a little break where Ray could tell some questionable jokes that can't be said on air for us to enjoy while the cameras are off
Yeah.
and will not be repeated on air. All right. With that all down, guys, let's get over to your questions here, shall we? Let's start off with those of you guys who send in super chats. Chris, what do we got at first?
Starting off strong with a $20 super chat from the Werebear.
Thank you,
The
Werebear.
Werebear.
Hey y'all, in 2021, I got my bachelor's in film production. In January, I will be getting my second bachelor's for VFX.
Oh, nice.
If there's any tips or advice you would give me before stepping into this world, if there are any tips or advice you can give me before stepping into this world, feel free to bring on the filthy.
If you're talking about stepping into the world of VFX, having lived in that world for a number of years, just be ready to work a lot of hours.
Yeah, I was gonna say get ready because you're entry level, so get ready for night
Yeah.
shifts.
Yeah.
And honestly, probably working in like the vault at first, like the backup vaults for everything, and right because even for editors, like typically your starting jobs, you're working in with the data and saving like the saves and all of that.
Might be minding the render farms or whatever. But listen, I just know this. When I worked with a visual effects company, we literally brought in cots. And we'd be working on like major movie projects and like literally squeezing in while the render farm would start going on stuff, squeeze in 2 hours, run to 7-Eleven, get a Slurpee, come back, work 5 more hours, crash 45 minutes, work 7 more hours. Like it's a double-edged sword in the world of VFX because like a lot of people point out, there is good money to be made as a visual effects artist. There's good money to be made, but you earn that money. It's long, tedious, life-stealing kind of thing. If you can manage it right, it can be very great and very rewarding. Just be ready, man. It's going to take a lot of your hours and a lot of your life.
And if he loves what he does, enjoy it. You earned it. You got your stuff, right? You got his stuff. So good luck.
All right. What's next?
From Justin D. Rumor of Caitlin Dever as Abby in The Last of Us. Thoughts?
Yeah, she is. First of all, she's phenomenal. We talked about this a little bit yesterday. I first took real notice of her in Booksmart, that she was just insane in. And she's gone on to continue to do really, really good work. Again, like I said earlier, my number one thing is, are you getting somebody who's really, really talented? And check mark. Now, will she have to work out, bulk up a little bit? I mean, you don't have to look like Abby did in the game. You don't have to look like an Olympic gymnast, but she's going to have to bulk up a little bit and stuff like that. But I mean, listen, if it does end up being her, it's a terrific choice. She's a fabulous actress. All right, what's next?
From Andy, Pedro Pascal gets another highly sought-after role in Mr. Fantastic. Jensen Ackles shaking his fist in the air and shouting, "Damn it, Pedro!"
Yeah, I mean, I think that he's done some good stuff talking about that before. By the way, Jensen Ackles' short appearance in Gen V Season 1 was one of the funniest things I've seen on TV this year. I really hope they have big plans to bring him back in the next season of The Boys. Anyway, that being said, again, one of the best actors out there today. When you saw what he did with the Joel character and just start to imagine what he could bring to a Reed Richards, it's enough to get the adrenaline going, man. It's very, very exciting. All right, what's next?
From Andy again, love in Gen V how Kate has power similar to Xavier's, but has Magneto's philosophy, and Andre has power similar to Magneto's, but has Xavier's philosophy.
Yeah, not quite like Xavier's. I mean, she has some telepathic powers, yes, but they're not quite like Charles's, nor are they nearly on the scale of Charles's. And yeah, what was his hero name again? His dad's name? Not Pulsar. It was.
Quasar?
What's that?
Oh no, never mind.
I can't remember what his superhero name is. And it's the name of his dad. Polarity. Thank you. Kari in the live chat saying Polarity. Yeah, kind of similar in some ways. Of course, kind of different and not nearly on the same level. But man, I love Gen V so much. I'm going to go back and do an entire rewatch of the season, I think sometime this month before Christmas. It's just so good. All right, what's next?
From Andy again, Martin Scorsese can complain about what is or isn't cinema all he wants, but he won't impress me until he wins a Kids' Choice Award. Like all fake.
Yeah,
Nice.
Marty, where's your Kids' Choice Award? Marty, you ain't nothing. You know what? I still laugh, and I think it's, I think it's hilarious that some people actually got their, little tidy whities up their pucker hole because Anthony Russo, or was it Joe? No, it's Joe Russo, made that little joke about, because, Marty Scorsese said, here's my dog, Oscar.
Yeah.
Because he's got
he
an
named
Oscar.
his dog Oscar.
Right?
In honor
And
of the
then
fact
Joe
that he has
Russo,
Academy
who
Award.
many times has talked about how he reveres Martin Scorsese, made this little joke and said, here's my dog, Box Office.
Yeah.
It was fun and funny, and
Zinger.
all these fragile little pieces of shit. How dare you say something like that? It's like, grow the fuck up, you loser. Anyway, all right, what's next?
From AL, message to Disney wanting more Frozen. Let it go.
And that is why you will never be a big executive.
I mean, that was a good joke.
It's a good joke.
1.4 billion.
You're not letting that go.
See, the first one made 1.3 billion. The second one made 1.4 billion. Kids today, how many years has it been since Frozen 2?
10, I think.
Not
Or
since
not
Frozen
towards
2.
the second one. No, sorry, since the first one.
But it's been years.
It's been
Years.
All the kids still dress up in it. I mean, we're talking about the new generation of children are watching it and loving it and dying for more. And you don't think they should make more? That's certifiably insane. That is absolutely certifiably insane. Of course you make another one. Of course you make 2 more. And if they suck, well, then stop after 4. But yeah, no, man, you make more. You make more. If the audience is screaming for it and it's making ungodly amounts of money, what is the justification to not make another one? Of course you make another one. Anyway, all right, what's next?
From Bubba Downs. Hey crew, just wanted to see if you guys had seen or heard about the new Argentinian horror film When Evil Lurks.
I have not heard of it. It's a great title, though.
I usually have my finger on the pulse of horror, but
I'm gonna
somehow I missed
assume-
this one.
I'm going to assume this is probably on Netflix. Netflix does one of the things
Maybe.
Netflix does really well is a lot of international.
international. Yeah.
So that's why I'm guessing maybe it's on Netflix.
A
All right.
supernatural psychological horror film.
Oh,
Ooh.
okay. No, thank you.
That sounds great already. I love it.
Oh, thank
Rob
Ray
Harley.
doesn't like
No,
the
thanks.
ones that fuck with your head.
No.
He doesn't like those
I
ones.
think Rob already has the steel book.
Probably already
He
has
probably
the
does.
what's the Criterion Collection
Yeah.
version of it. All right, what's next?
From the Daily Prophet. Hey, if I wanted to start my own animated TV show, where would I begin? And how do creators pitch to the studios for it to be streamed and aired? Thanks.
Go straight to Nickelodeon.
Go straight to
Just
Netflix.
knock on their door.
Oh, so you're basically asking for a 4-year course right now. Basically, you can't. Studios don't talk to anybody except agents. So you have to get an agent. But listen, if you want to create your own thing, I mean, take the path of why am I suddenly freezing on the director of Lights Out? Why am I freezing on his name? Anyway,
Oh, yeah. Okay, hang on.
Like put on YouTube.
yes, like
That's what I was thinking.
that dude created his own short film.
David Sandberg.
Thank you, David Sandberg, who then went on to direct Shazam, which I passionately love. The first one, at any rate. So he created his own short movie on YouTube. Still, I think one of the most awesome short horror films ever put on YouTube, called Lights Out. 2 or 3 minutes long. Creepy as hell. And then took that after it got so many people watching it and was able to parlay that into getting a feature film of it. So if you want to if you want to go the traditional, more reliable way, go to film school, learn the business, all that kind of stuff. Otherwise, the opportunity does exist for you. You know what? If you think you're good at it, create your own, put it up online and see if you can get somebody's attention. The more traditional route is the less sexy route, but is the more tried and true. But you can just make some stuff, put it online, see if it catches on.
Well, and try making art without the goal being selling it. Make something that you love. Make
Yeah.
something that you're passionate about, because people can smell when you are just trying to make a quick buck. They
Yeah.
really can. And if it's something you are truly passionate about, you look at things like Lore Olympus, right? That web comic that came out that is now a huge success, a printed comic, and they're making so much stuff with it now. So make something you love and start there.
Now, and I don't want to be the wet blanket, but I do want to be a bit of a realist. For everyone, Sandberg, who made a short and then parlayed that into his own feature film, there's 700 who didn't. All right. So I'm not trying to rain on anybody's parade. I'm just also trying to make sure you're realistic about how often lightning strikes. All right, what's next?
Twice.
Twice, exactly.
From Golden Boy. Hey, everyone. So happy Pedro Pascal. Oh, so happy for Pedro Pascal. I love that he is finally getting a lead in a big movie. Well deserved. He will crush it. It's not finalized.
It's not finalized. Let's be very clear about that. It's not finalized. Now, they've gotten to the final stage, which is, look, once you get into working out the contract, that means you've decided you want to be in it, and the studio has picked you to be the one to do it. But now you got to work out see if you can work out the details of the contract.
This actually brings up a question about the strike that I've been thinking about, because I know after the writer's strike, they made an announcement, regardless of the vote, you guys can start getting back to work. Mm-hmm. Did they do that with SAG?
Yes.
Okay, I wasn't sure.
We all can work right now, and auditions are starting to roll
because
back
I was
out.
thinking, like, how did he book this if it's not right? Okay.
So much stuff is just happening right now as quickly as possible.
Yeah.
Get to London right now. Go do this right now.
Hopefully we get to see if it hits that 51% soon.
Yeah, I hope so. The voting gets locked in December 5th.
Okay.
It's the last day to vote.
All right, what's next?
From Devin, check out Boss Logic's edit of Pedro Pascal as Reed.
Saw it.
Incredible. It convinced me.
Yeah.
Boss Logic is an internet treasure.
Yeah, he is.
I'll have
He's
to
an
watch
absolute
that.
He had been
treasure.
doing the Sunny in Philadelphia take on the Fantastic Four. Did you see those?
No.
I think I saw one
and
of them.
Doom is Danny DeVito. Great.
Yeah,
I'd watch
Boss
it.
Logic is purely an internet treasure. All right, what's next?
From Vixter 5001, 2 more film recommendations for you. American Fiction with Jeffrey Wright, satirical and funny. And Anatomy of a Fall, brilliant thriller courtroom drama.
I've seen American Fiction, but not Anatomy of a Fall.
I've never even heard of that.
All right,
American
what's
Fiction,
next?
isn't that the Paul Giamatti one?
No. It's the one.
Oh, that's American Splendor.
Yeah, it's American Splendor.
Okay.
All right, what's next?
From The Philosopher's Take, love the Pascal talk, but the MCU is not in a place where it should be excited, where we should be excited about this type of news, i.e. Christian Bale.
Here's the problem, though. For every one Christian Bale, there are a lot of them that worked out great, right? Like when Robert Redford is coming to the MCU, he was so good in Civil War. Anthony Hopkins is coming to the MCU, so glorious as Odin. It more times than not has absolutely worked out. Like absolutely worked out. And by the way, the Christian Bale thing was, remember, they brought him in as a villain in somebody else's movie. This is going to be Pedro Pascal's project. He's going to be the leading face of the franchise. So it's a bit of a different thing. But yeah, for every one thing that you point to, like, that casting didn't work out, so most of the time it does. And whenever you bring in somebody with great talent, and listen, think what you want about Thor: Love and Thunder. When you take the character that Christian Bale played in the script, Christian Bale made it better, right? Wasn't able to save the movie, but he made it better. So you bring in an actor like Pedro Pascal, if they had gotten a lesser actor to play that role, it could have been even worse. But you got in a great actor like Christian Bale, and he elevated. I mean, he got the most out of every scene that he was in. So yeah, this is definitely something to be excited about, 100%. All right, what's next?
From Patrick Hamilton, I think I'd like to see Pedro as Dr. Doom.
You know what? I've seen all due respect, I've seen a lot of people say that. I don't see that at all. I mean, he's a fabulous actor, and if they announced him as Dune, hey, he's a great actor, I'll be all for it. But why? Why do you want... I don't see how that's a fit at all.
We don't even know that Doom is associated with this first Fantastic Four movie.
This is true. I think sometimes, I'm not speaking for this viewer, sometimes we just associate also villainy is a little bit sexy.
Sure. No, it absolutely is.
Sometimes, I'm just saying.
I mean, Taylor Swift said, I can make a bad guy good for the weekend.
Exactly.
I mean, that's
Daddy Doom.
That's why girls like the bad boys.
You go out with Victor Von Doom, you marry Reed Richards. That's how it goes, you know?
All right, what's next?
From JRB Direct. Hey guys, got any good Pedro Pascal movie recs? I know he's a hot name on streaming right now, but leading a Marvel movie feels like new ground for him. Thanks.
Well, I mean, definitely coming in and leading a motion picture on this level is not something he's done, but he's got volumes in his resume of
Go
what
watch
he's...
Narcos.
Yeah,
I love him in Narcos, yeah.
Ugh.
Well, there's the one
Narcos-
unbearable weight of
of
massive talent.
Mass talent. So good in that. I didn't love that movie as much as most people did, but Nick Cage kills it in it, and Pedro Pascal rules in that. I mean, let's not talk about his one turn in comic book films as the villain in Wonder Woman 1984.
Man, he tried so hard.
He
though.
tried. I
His
mean, there's only
stuff is
so much
good.
you could do with that material.
Yeah,
His parts were fine.
he did a great job as Maxwell, but
Oh, yeah. He elevated it. It's
Yeah.
just, ooh, it had a long distance to elevate.
exactly
That's the problem
that
with
was his or the God Butcher moment of I'm
it.
trying
That
my
was his
best here.
gore.
Trying my best.
All right, what's next?
From Kyle, thoughts on the Naked Gun movies?
Love them.
So good.
They're glorious.
They're perfect.
Nice beaver. It's just that I will always remember that line. Anyway, yeah, they're great.
I mean,
the Naked Gun movies are great.
Yeah, and a lot of people don't realize it was based off of the TV show.
Oh yeah, the TV show Naked Gun.
Yeah.
And
It was like
I
police
mean-
stories or something like that. Police something.
it's there's a little problem with them now.
Yeah.
With you
What,
know,
John?
like
OJ. Oh,
OJ. Like
So I had a
it's
cough.
a little awkward to watch.
Police Squad. Yeah.
But yeah, anyway. All right, what's next?
From Emma Murdoch. They're filming a new Shyamalan Good Grades near my home in Mississauga.
Mississauga.
No, Mississauga. Seems interesting based on the small tank spotted. Let's see how it comes out.
I have no idea of that project whatsoever. Mississauga is a great, not even a little town, it's a big town. A lot of people just consider it a part of Toronto. It's actually, if you fly into the Toronto International Airport, you're actually flying into Mississauga. That's where you're going into. But I've heard nothing about this project, so I don't know much about it. But you know what? M. Night, God bless him. He just comes on the scene. Everybody says, remember that magazine cover? The next Spielberg. Yeah, that didn't work out. Then he makes a whole bunch of shit. And then undeterred, he comes back out and he delivers. The first one that really was like, oh, was The Visit. Remember that? With Catherine Hahn?
Yeah.
With the two little kids going to visit.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh.
That was
Ooh,
good.
That was very good.
And
Those were
then
messed
he
up.
made-
Old was okay to me.
Old wasn't bad. I didn't super like it, but it
Yeah.
wasn't bad. It was interesting. And then you had Split.
Split
Was great.
Split was great.
Which was really good. I didn't like Glass. I admit,
I like
did not
Glass. I
it.
didn't like how it
see
ended.
it. Okay.
Yeah, I just overall didn't really like it. But so he's been on a little bit of a resurgence. I hope he gets to continue that. I really do. All right, what's next?
From Guzman, y'all the real Fantastic Four.
Aw,
Yeah.
thank you so much, Guzman. I appreciate that, man.
Precious.
All right, what's next?
I call Ben Grimm. Fanjecture. Fun fact, Anna and Elsa are technically not Disney princesses. They make so much money on their own, they haven't been brought into that club yet.
They are, yeah, they are rich.
Yeah.
God, they are rich. Again, like you guys think I'm joking when I say, whenever you look, for those any of you guys who go to Disney World or Disneyland or whatever, just keep a little mental count the next time of how many little girls you see walking around as.
Like, don't go around walking, staring at all the little girls.
No, don't go.
Like, be
Another
mindful.
Elsa,
Be discreet.
another Anna.
I'm a detective. I'm looking for little girls.
Yeah, see, I've got the detective coat. I just want to make sure. See?
You wearing the trench coat, Ray?
Trench coat, no.
You wearing the trench coat?
Another Elsa, I see. Yeah.
Yeah, the little little clicker.
All right, what's
No.
next?
From Majork 25, most fun movie going experience. The year is 2004. And my friends and I, as a bunch of guys, went to a double feature of Kill Bill 2 and The Punisher.
Nice.
As we're leaving, 8 girls were walking in, and we figured out they were going to see Mean Girls. So crew, 5 17-year-old guys, decided to see Mean Girls. We still say, she doesn't even go here to this day. We got 3 phone numbers that day. Ah, memories.
Listen, I'm not one of the Mean Girls is one of the pivotal movies of all time people, but my God, she doesn't even go here is one of the funniest moments I've ever seen in any film ever. Period. End stop. She doesn't even go here. It's like one of the greatest lines ever. It's so funny. By the way, how awful does that new Mean Girls look?
Oh, the musical?
Yeah. That does not look good.
I'm not sold on it. I'm going to see it. I'm gonna go.
You know
I
what?
know who I am.
I think your attitude is the representation of a lot of people. Yeah, it doesn't look so good, but I have to see
but
it.
I want to see what
She
they do.
doesn't even go here.
Yeah, what's the main Mean Girl's name again?
Regina George.
I'm Regina. It's like, what is happening?
I don't know any of the music from this musical. I didn't listen to any of it. I don't know how it went to
I
stage.
don't know any of it either.
Wait.
Because it was on Broadway.
Uh-oh, Ray's just clicking in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Say
the
it.
trailer we saw in the theaters, the one that's
Yep.
it's a musical?
It's a musical.
Yeah.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Literally, someone just echoed that.
Oh, it's like somebody just told Ray Santa wasn't real. Look. Oh,
what?
no. What's that?
Santa's.
I just shouted Heart Saver. Spoiler alert. Put up the spoilers warning.
Who's been going into my apartment?
And who's been going in my apartment?
I'm really concerned now.
All right. What's next?
From Carmelo Smith. It's Madam time.
Oh, yeah.
On another note, I'm seeing people online saying why Marvel is making this. Had to correct them and say it's Sony's product. Now I could see why Marvel doesn't want two Spider-Mans at once.
Well, I mean, Sony doesn't want two Spider-Man at once either. By the way, and look, I get everybody because we're coming off of Morbius. I get that. And my one problem with the trailer was that a lot of the dialogue seemed to be delivered very wooden. Like, he was there when my mother was in South America
Just on the
studying
nose, too.
spiders.
Yeah.
It's like, okay. But in principle, like the premise of the film, I don't care what anybody else, like, jump on whatever bandwagon you want to jump on. I think it sounds interesting. Now, I've seen a lot of trailers that I think sound interesting, and then I end up hating the movie. And maybe that'll be the case here. Maybe this will be another Morbius. Or maybe it'll be another Venom, the
Or
first
Craven, we don't know.
one. And we'll see how Craven works out.
But, yeah.
So I'm all for it. I'm actually really curious to see this movie.
You guys want to know what I'd do if I had $1 million, though?
What?
Two Spider-Mans at once.
Little Office Space joke there, ladies and gentlemen. Little Office Space to start your day. All right, what's next?
From the Brandon Salad. What's up, crew? Have any of you seen A Good Person with Florence Pugh and Morgan Freeman?
Yes.
Super underrated, in my opinion. One of Florence's best performances.
Yeah, nobody saw that.
No, it was barely playing anywhere.
I remember the trailers for it came out and we're like, this looks heartbreaking and kind of beautiful. And I listen, I admit I was very late to the party on it. I didn't watch it till much later, but it's really good little movie.
Yeah.
I mean, not Oscar worthy, but a really solid little film.
It's great.
All right, what's next?
From Red One Real Talk, I'm near my breaking point with Fantastic Four casting rumors. This obsession from fandom with specific names is exhausting. If it's Pedro, fantastic. If it's someone else, then great. Just get back to giving us universally loved movies, please.
Well, remember, like, the rumors do not come from the studios. The rumors come from people making stuff up to get people's attention. And sometimes there is stuff to it. But this one's not a rumor. This one, it's been confirmed by all the major trades. They are in talks with Pedro Pascal to be the guy. Now, maybe the contract doesn't work out and they have to go and look at somebody else. But it's a little bit, this is significantly beyond what it was before. This is actually down to brass tacks now. So see how that goes. All right, what's next?
From Sergeant Leonardo, 2025 has 4 MCU movies, 2 DC movies, and Avatar 3. Dune is my 2024 movie of the year, but I don't know about 2025. What about you guys?
I don't have movie calendars in my head.
List of 2020.
Yeah, people often tell me, hey, what's your most anticipated movie in 2024? It's like, I honestly couldn't tell you right now off the top of my head. Like, you can name a movie and tell me it's coming out in 2024. I'd be, oh, yeah, I'm terrible with dates. I don't remember what year things are coming out. All I can tell you is that I know Dune is coming out in 2024, and I know Deadpool 3 is coming out in 2024. Other than that, I don't keep movie dates in front of me. But yeah, 2025 is looking kind of packed. All right, what's next?
From Kayak, do you think Sony will one day bring Spider-Man No Way Home back to theaters? Maybe sometime before the next Spider-Man or Avengers movie? No Way Home was this close to joining the $2 billion club. And since Sony doesn't have a movie to do that yet, the temptation might be there. Thoughts?
No, it's just a semantic thing. They made tons of money on it. Like, it's not an important thing to them. Let's tie up our persons, or our personnel. Let's tie up our energy and resources in mounting a re-release in theaters. Why? To get it to some number that sounds nice, but is not really all that important. It made a crap ton of money, but I don't see them doing a theatrical re-release. I mean, maybe it's possible as like if once the next Spider-Man movie gets made, that as many studios will do, they'll release it. Hey, on opening night, there'll be a double feature of the last film leading into the new film. Like maybe that happens, but I don't see them doing like a re-release of Spider-Man No Way Home. I mean, I'm not saying it can't happen. I just don't see why they would do it. All right, what's next?
From Jay Superboy. Hey, John, don't care what anybody says. Due Date is a hilarious movie.
I love Due Date.
From sucker punching a bratty kid to drinking really, really bad coffee, it always has me in tears. Keep it filthy.
It reminds me of one of my favorite interview moments ever. I was interviewing Robert Downey Jr. and I was talking to him about I can't remember which Marvel movie that was getting ready to come out that he was going to be in. And out of nowhere, up behind him comes Zach Galifianakis. And this is long after Due Date was. This is like years after Due Date. And Zach Galifianakis comes up behind him and goes, Mr. Downey Jr., sir, what do you like about being in movies? Which, you know, a lot of stupid interviewers, and believe me, I've been around a lot of interviewers in this business, and there's a lot of them that are really dumb. But he comes up, Mr. Downey Jr., sir, what do you like most about being in movies? And remember, he's kind of behind Robert Downey Jr., and you see Robert Downey Jr.'s eyes kind of roll. Like, oh God, okay, I'm going to try to answer this. And he starts to turn, and there's Zach Galifianakis, right? It was one of my favorite moments ever doing interviews. It was really, really fun.
That movie's 13 years old.
That movie's 13 now.
Yeah, 2010.
Crazy.
Dang.
All right, what's next? By the way, I don't love that movie, to be honest with you, but I love that moment. All right, what's next?
From Dildar, the Glorious. Watched the first episode of Blue Eye Samurai last night. Had me hooked immediately with its story and incredible animation. I could definitely go for some peaches right now, laugh my ass off, bring on the filthy.
Yeah,
I don't know what that means.
People who have seen the show know what that means. You guys turned me on to this show. I had so many of you guys wrote and say, have you seen Blue Eye Samurai? Have you seen Blue Eye Samurai? So finally, last week, 2 weeks ago, Anne went, her hairstylist is like in LA. So she drove in LA. So I said, okay, I'm going to sit down. I got like 3 hours. And I ended up watching all of Blue Eye Samurai season 1 in one night.
Damn.
It's so good. It's not what I was expecting, because you hear the term Blue Eye Samurai. Sounds like a little kid samurai show. No. Right from the beginning, the black screen, white text along the top. The following episode contains graphic sexuality, brutal violence, blah, 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 blah. I'm like, oh, okay, this isn't going to be what I thought it was. It's great. If you've not checked out Blue Eye Samurai, check it out. It's absolutely awesome. I loved it. All right, one more. What's next?
Last one is CJ Rebirth, Game Day.
Game Day!
Doing a Trolls 3 and Hunger Games double feature later today, and an early screening for Wish on Saturday.
Oh, nice. I'm hearing good things about Wish.
Same.
I'm hearing some very, very solid things about Wish. I am not a big Hunger Games fan. Like, I love the second movie, but overall, I'm not a big Hunger Games fan. Didn't care about this new movie, but I'll tell you what, they won me over. I'm very curious, and like shortly after we're done the show here today, Ray and I and Ann are going to run out and go see it, and I'm looking forward to seeing how it turns out. All right, guys, and with that down, that'll do it for today's installment of the John Campea Show podcast. Thank you so much for being here and making this show part of your day. Big special thank you to all you guys who sent in those questions. Number one, because you gave us great fun things to talk about. But number two, you supported our channel as you did it. And all of us involved with the show, thank you guys so very much for your support. Don't forget, guys, we also have a podcast feed for all of our John Campea shows and open mics. They all go into the podcast feed, because if you can't be in front of a YouTube channel, but you still need your fix of the daily John Campea show, go and subscribe. You'll find it on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or your favorite podcasting app of choice. Just search for the John Campea Show podcast and go and subscribe to it today, so it'll be there when you need it. So, for everybody in the room, Ray Ora, whoop, Jonathan Voico,
See ya.
Chris Carr,
Bye.
my name's John Campea, and until next time, my friends, bye-bye.